The first one, question that in fact I should introduce you. This is Mark, the Team 17 community manager. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
I have a few questions. The first one, where did the idea for each worm name come from?
Oh, each worm name. Well, originally, the designer of worms, he had his own worm team. It all came from having the ability to name your worms, so people always chose something that they were interested in, or people that they knew, or slight takes on those kind of things. Then as the years go by, we add more and more names to the random worm name generator. So we've got like our kids' names, and we've got other names in there, people that we've met, competition winners, all kinds of stuff. So the actual list of worms names is huge now.
So is community important to Team 17 then?
Community is very important to Team 17, yeah.
Are there any plans for any new Worms games, but not a golf one?
Yes.
Good. You got anything to say about that? Any comments on it?
No, it's too early to talk about any new stuff, but I'll say that we're always looking at what we're going to do next with Worms. It's been quite a long time since we've done anything revolutionary with Worms, but we are constantly looking at ideas and experimenting with things, and I'm sure next time we release a new Worms game, everybody will be really pleased with these results.
Where did the weapon designs come from?
A lot of brainstorming, really. Again, the original creator of Worms had his own ideas. For example, the concrete donkey was a real concrete donkey in his garden that he used to have nightmares about as a child. Yep, I know, as strange as it sounds. But then other Worms weapons, just a lot of things. We've responded to topical things like the French sheep strike, the male strike, the Fatkins, which was a take on the Atkins diet. So we kind of respond to stuff like that. We go through lots and lots of iterations of weapons. Something that sounds like a good idea is usually just one of the other weapons in a different skin. For example, the super banana bomb and the holy hand grenade and the dynamite, they all work in a very similar kind of way, really. So sometimes we just dismiss weapon ideas because they're too similar to ones that we already have.
Fair enough. Do you ever consider taking what the community on forums and such have said and turning them into weapons at all? Like, say, I had an idea for one.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of the community weapon ideas are just reskins of stuff that we've already got, or they're weapons that include wiping out the whole team of worms in the first go.
Isn't that good though?
No, when you're trying to balance a game like Worms, if you just put one of those weapons in, then you can completely throw out what makes the game fun. And we appreciate a lot of people like the mass destruction, and I want to be able to kill everything on screen in one go. But when we're thinking about what weapons to introduce, then we have to be very careful about that.
There used to be a customised thing, wasn't there? So I mean, either way. Would you consider putting a lightsaber in it?
A lightsaber? I'm not sure we'd get away with that, to be honest. LucasArts might have something to say about that.
They might, but I think you get away with it. How did Worms come to be? What was the original idea? I mean, did he look at a worm and think, oh, I've got an idea?
Well, Andy, the creator of Worms, he wanted to do an artillery-based game, very similar to like the old Guerrilla game. And his kind of logic was, nobody had ever done a game with worms in it. So, so it's kind of gone from there, to be honest. And as time's gone on, we've been able to put a lot more personality into the characters. But I think always, when people have been able to name their worm and to customise them, they kind of bring on their own kind of personality, don't they?
Yeah. Lee Carter asked through Facebook, why hasn't the original Worms hit the Xbox Live Arcade yet?
A tricky one, that. Mainly because we never did the original Worms on Xbox. So you would have to start completely from scratch. You can't really port the original version of Worms to Xbox. Plus the original version of Worms didn't have any online play. Microsoft would probably have issues with that. But never say never, eh?
Yeah, I can always hope. I hope so anyway, 'cause I like that game. It's a household game, sort of like everyone knows what Worms is. Was you expecting that when it first launched, or?
Well, you always hope, don't you, that you're going to get a big hit, and that everybody will enjoy it. I think because it's cartoon violence as well, it's not adult-rated material. I thought we were always onto something, and as long as we still retain that pick-up-and-play kind of feel to it, easy to play but hard to master, I think we will continue to have families playing it.
Okay. Have you ever been called racist due to the accents in the game?
Yes, we have, yeah. And we recently removed a couple of speech banks.
Oh really? That's kind of upsetting. I quite like them.
Yeah, we never intend to upset people, but if somebody has a legitimate complaint about something, the way that the world has changed over the last 20 years, it's something that we'll respond to. We've removed a couple because of that.
Oh, that's good. Why is there so little Worms merchandise? I must say now, there's a Super Sheep on sale soon, so...
Yeah, it's just taken a long time to get to the point where we were comfortable with doing merchandise. And now, this year, hopefully things are going to start moving. We'll see T-shirts and posters, and we've got kids' badges and the Super Sheep, obviously, as you've seen. So hopefully we'll start to see a lot more of that, because they are very good for that kind of thing, really, for the merchandising.
I can't wait to see a cuddly Worms teddy.
Yeah, a Worms plush, yeah, should be on its way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Excellent. Community sent in, why didn't Alien Breed take off so well?
It's a tricky one, that. I mean, the original Alien Breed was immensely popular. And we tried to place it a number of times with publishers. And when we started self-publishing, we decided one of the first things we wanted to bring back was Alien Breed. But we almost had to appeal to current audiences and also retain the feel of the older games. And probably it's fallen a little bit in between both of those, which is why it probably hasn't taken on as well this time.
Why was your name Team 17? Is it as simple as those 17 people, or?
No, it wasn't. Quite embarrassing, really. Team 17 started developing around the 16-bit era, and we wanted to be 1 bit better than the others. So that was where the 17 comes from.
That's a genius name. Do you reckon Worms will ever die out, or do you think, due to the mix of simplicity and brilliance, it'll just stay forever?
I think as long as we can keep on coming up with fresh ideas for Worms, I think it is an evergreen kind of title. There seems to be a resurgence of retro as well at the moment, so I think if we stay very true to what the game offers, then plenty of another 20 years of work.
Have you got any news on the Facebook games?
No news I can talk about.
Progressing well, though.
Well, we really want to bring Worms to Facebook at some point, but we won't be rushed into it, and it has to be right. It's not going to be a cheap cash-in. So watch this space, but it's nothing imminent.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head which Worms game has the most amount of weapons in, and how many that is?
Oh dear, it's probably Worms World Party, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, that's fair enough, I don't blame you. Do you encounter any difficulties programming or developing throughout the series?
We've had, some very difficult challenges with some hardware in the past. For example, trying to do Worms on the Game Boy was very difficult, and the first iterations on mobile phone as well. Again, very difficult.
Yeah.
But no current problems at all with worms.
Okay. Last one. Why is there no bacon in worms?
Why is there no what?
Bacon.
Bacon?
Everybody loves bacon.
Maybe it's because of Hogs of War.
Good answer. Okay. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
For that. Okay. Thank you.